Hey, everybody. Thanks for being part of our podcast, Mastering Local Marketing. We're up over 100 episodes. This is episode 104. We're recording it right at the end of 2025. It will actually be released on the first day of 2026. As we start the new year, Matt and I are clearing the slate in this episode. We're talking about the biggest marketing myths that small businesses need to leave behind in 2025. These are the ideas that sound good, but quietly hold businesses back. We unpack common beliefs around social media, advertising, branding, and growth that no longer match how customers actually behave. We explain why these myths persist, where business owners get stuck, and what to focus on instead as you head into this new year. This episode is less about trends and more about clarity. If you want to start 2026 with a cleaner, more focused marketing approach, this conversation will help you stop chasing the wrong things and double down on what actually works.
Well, let me go in. Let me go into this, right? So I'm excited for this one, right? Because, again, we have spent an entire year talking to you about all these things that you should be doing for your business. And, what ends up happening is it goes in one ear and goes out the other, like most of the things that we deal with on a regular basis. And I'm guilty of this. You're guilty of this. Adriana's guilty of this. We're all guilty of this, right? But we're going to cover some things today that people are going to hear and they're like, yeah, I need to do that. But I'm going to compare this to something that goes back a good 20 years. And it sounds ridiculous that you would do this anymore. But this is what we're saying, is that we're still doing these things over and over and over every single year. So we did it in 2025. Are you going to do it in 2026, right? So Happy New Year to those. Obviously this comes out on New Year's Day. But let's go back 20 years. And let's say you're building a website and you want to rank for certain keywords. There's whatever you're selling, you're putting those keywords on your website, and you want to rank for it. And I remember back in the day, people used to, and I don't know if you remember this, but people used to put keywords on the bottom of their web page, and they would want to rank for them, right? And then people got really tricky, quote unquote, and they would take a white background and they would create white text, a bunch of keywords that they want to rank for in white text on a white background. And we used to do this in marketing, didn't we? And then Google came out and was like, whoa, that's a black hat SEO tactic. We will actually flag you for it, and that's a bad thing to do. So think of what we're going to talk about today as the old white colored text on a white colored background to try and do marketing better. Don't do this stuff. What we're trying to say today is these are things that you need to understand moving forward. So if you're going to turn the page, and it's a term I use quite often, turn the page, let's move forward. It's 2026. Don't do these things.
You actually did that with the white on white?
I did not, but I had
I was going to say, I heard of this.
Plenty of clients that did this, and then they, I had to talk them out of it.
It probably is like a black mark against you.
Oh, without a doubt, you will get flagged instantly for doing that today.
One of these podcasts, not today, we're going to talk about some other stuff. Maybe we do that. What lowers your ranking?
Oh, yeah.
There's so many of those things, right?
Yeah.
Well, let's talk about some of these things right now. All right, a myth from 2025. Hopefully you get this, because I think we're like a year old, right?
Yep.
You need big budgets to compete.
Yeah, so we've talked about this a few times, where if you just spend a few dollars every single day on a meta ad, it could be Instagram, Facebook, it could be TikTok, and you are targeting a specific market, right? So you drop a pin on top of your business, or maybe there's certain towns, cities that you're going after, and you spend $2, $3, $5 a day in ads. You will actually, like, if you take, I know a lot of people live in smaller towns that kind of listen to this. So if you have a let's say you live in a town that has 5,000 people in it, right? A small kind of local town that's out there. But, if you are dropping ads on that town and you're spending $5 a day or even $3 a day, whatever it comes out to, I mean, over the span of the year, and we start talking about frequency, people will see your ad. I did the math last night. I forget exactly what it was, but it was something like 3 or 4 times a month, right? They'll see you over and over and over again. So if you have a small little area that you're dropping ads on and you just spend $5 a day over the span of a year, I mean, we're not talking about significant dollars, right? It's not that much. Can you afford to spend $5 on ads to generate that awareness? Sure. Will people know you? Yeah, they'll see your ads over and over and over again throughout the entire year. So that $5 cup of coffee or that $5 sandwich that you get at lunchtime becomes awareness. And when before we jumped on for this episode, we were talking about CPM, cost per thousand impressions. I've sent Jim pictures of getting $2-3 CPMs.
You think he sounds really humble until he gets a really good CPM. Then he just like trumpets it. But
yeah,
go ahead.
I'll send him. Oh, check out my $2 CPM on this and how it's performing. But we're talking about anywhere from a $5 to $10 CPM in social media. And if you're spending $5, let's just take a $5 cost per thousand. That's 1,000 people that will see your ad for $5 that day. So when you think 365 days through the year, that's 365,000 impressions of your ad in that small little local market. They will know who you are. Trust me on this.
Gosh, I'll just use a real life experience. We have 25 schools now. 25 schools stream all their video through us, right? And we're trying to we don't sell inside the communities, we just sell across the communities. But one of the frontiers in 2026 would be, how do you get a little bit of money out of each community? What if we took one community? What if we just took Highland and we spent $5 a day on promoting the Heartland Sports Network just to your business? Let's do that.
Okay.
Let's do that and see if we can dispel one of the myths.
Oh, yeah.
That is right here. All right, here's another myth. More platforms equal better marketing.
So I see.
Weren't we just having this conversation?
Yeah, we were. Yeah. We were right before we got on. Yeah, so people will say, "Oh, well, we have to be on Facebook and Instagram and TikTok, and let's try YouTube, and let's do Google paid search ads, and let's try this and this and this." And the next thing you know, you're on 7 different things, and you're trying to keep up, and you can't post content, and your ads are running. You don't even know what's going on because you're not monitoring them, right? So think of it, the way I like to express this, I'm a parent, and I have 2 kids. Imagine having 15 children running around that all need your attention, and you're trying to focus on one, and the other one needs something, and the other one. So you're trying to, we call it herding cats, but you're trying to keep them all occupied and focused and giving them everything that they need. It's much easier when you have 1 or 2 children to keep an eye on that need things than have 7 to 15 different things that you're doing. So pick 1 or 2 things that you really want to dive into, pay attention to them, and you will see significant growth based on that because you're paying attention to it.
So I hope you're doing what I'm doing. I'm the real world application of many of these marketing ideas that Matt comes up with. I hope you're putting that one at your business. Gosh, you know what? I'm trying to be on Facebook. I'm trying to be on Instagram. I'm trying to be on X. I'm trying to be on TikTok. Now you could even be on Substack, and there's 3 or 4 others. What if you just chose one? I mean, that's a little bit limiting, right?
Yeah.
But it might just show you how to operate within one culture.
Right. Yeah. Again, imagine putting all of your effort into one single thing. You will pay attention. You will learn. You will compare to others. You will try new things. If you're spread too thin, it's like every other entrepreneur that's out there. I don't have the time to do it. I want to do it, but I don't have the time, and it gets forgotten about, and then it just looks like it's been forgotten about.
So on this podcast network, Adriana has been a big advocate of YouTube, which I was against, and that's our video. That's where it goes, and that is a singular level. It's not going to any other video platform. And in a weird way, it's kind of working, man. You could get this podcast, by the way, by going to WJOB 1230 on YouTube. I have a feeling it will eventually kind of be its own, but that's where it is now. All right, what about paid ads? All right, you have paid ads. Oh, I'm spending $5 a month on that, like you're talking. But your messaging, how do those two things work together?
Yeah, just because you pay to put something in front of somebody doesn't mean that they're going to pay attention to it, right? So you've got to have a really good hook, a really good offer, a really good visual. If you create something that looks like a 4-year-old created it and the messaging is irrelevant to the target audience that you're going after, they're not going to pay attention to it, right? So if you are on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, YouTube, you name it, right? Like all of these types of things need to have some kind of hook to get the individual to pay attention. So if you're not providing content that's valuable to them, they will go right past it. They will jump past, right? So a lot of people will say, well, I'm just going to put, $5 a day into it, and I'm just going to let it run, and we'll see what happens. Well, you've got to have certain messaging in there. And many times what I hear with the people that I work with is they put an ad together, and then they don't think through the whole system, right? So like they'll put an ad, and then I go, well, where is it going? Well, it's going to our homepage. Well, the homepage doesn't correspond with the ad that you're running, right? They're two different. I've got some clients that I work with right now. Every once in a while, I'll question them. I'm like, well, you have this offer, but it's going to a very general page. Wouldn't it be better to drive it to a more specific to the ad, right? And what the ad is saying. Because people get confused really easy. Have you ever clicked on something and you get over to a website and you're just like, where's the thing that I'm looking for, right? And then you're off. You're done, right? So
Gosh, boots. I talk about boots.
You love your boots.
I'm still looking for one. It's just a impulse. I don't need it, but I want to buy a pair of boots just because I can, and I get one a year. And a lot of them will show you, hey, these boots are on sale. This boot is on sale. That exact boot. I go, there. I want that. I want to look at it. Click, and you go to the front page.
Yeah.
What is that?
It's
bad.
Yeah, they
do. But anyways, keep going with your train of thought.
Yeah, so I mean, again, just because you pay for ads and you put the boot out there and it drives back to a horrible landing page.
Yes.
That's going to kill any conversions or any interest right there because I can't find it, right? So just because you put money out there doesn't mean that it's going to convert or that it's going to drive traffic. It's got to be something of relevancy to the customer, and then once they click on that, everything has to correspond all the way through.
So you said something at the beginning of that myth of bad messaging on paid ads, and I see it all the time, or bad linking on a paid ad. Oh, I'll click it. Boom. Here I go. Oh, it's not where I want. I just wanted to go right to that page and look at it. But you said something that is kind of almost philosophical in nature in marketing, and that is that branding is, you don't want to just, if you have a bad logo, people will notice it, and the colors isn't right. That doesn't happen as much anymore now with AI. Mm-hmm. You can have a decent logo made up, boom, like that. Right. Here's your 5 choices, boom. Those are amazing. I remember when I started a coffee shop 20 years ago, I spent $1,900 on the logo. Yeah. And that was just the logo, and that wasn't even any application of it or anything. You could do that for free right now in 10 minutes and figure out a really good logo. So the branding itself used to be like, oh, logo. And I remember Steel Toe Joe, this coffee shop we did. We had a great logo and stuff. But I didn't know any of this stuff we're talking about right now. So I realized then that the branding is way past what the logo is. I mean, everybody has a good logo now.
Yeah.
So how do you set yourself? I mean, how do you make it happen on not, moving away from the logo?
Yeah, again, people think branding is just a logo, right? And branding is literally every single consumer touch point that you have, from walking in the front door to the order that happened to the customer service, the return policy. Everything is branding. And most people think it's just I'll go build a logo in ChatGPT, and again, you can do brand guidelines in there and it'll spit it all out, or you can go over to Google's AI labs and do the exact same thing, right? Like it'll pull all of that from your website. But a logo is it's a picture, right? Does it encompass a feeling? Does it create anything as I walk into a store, as I call a service provider of some sort? Is that really the experience? Is that the branding that you're putting out there, right? So if I call you on the phone and somebody picks up the phone and goes, "Hello," immediately I'm sorry, did I call? Right? Like
Yeah.
you should answer the phone, "Welcome to XYZ HVAC. How may I be of service?" You tell them the problem. We'll have somebody out there in the next 24 hours. Here are our time slots, whatever it may be, right? Completely different experiences, but branding is all about the experience that you've created for your customer. So it's every single touch point. So if it's an email that comes to you that you don't respond to, that's a negative touch point. It's a phone call that comes in. It's I walked in and you and your employees are fighting, right? We just talked about that in the last podcast. That's a touch point. That's branding. Okay, that's a perception that's being put into your mind. So when you start to talk about different companies and you're comparing them in the perception scale, some of them are being elevated by various touch points that they have with you, and some are being downgraded, right? So you have a bad experience, that's going down. The branding has created a difference there versus other companies in the same space.
Good businesses don't need marketing. That's myth number 6.
I hear this all the time.
I hear it a lot.
Yep, we don't need to
That's
market.
why we quit selling inside communities, because that a regional company knows they have to market, and you're all of a sudden you're trying to sell to the local local anything. We don't need that. We're all word of mouth. I'm like, okay, good enough. I'm not going in telling people they need marketing and then selling them my marketing. I'm done. I'm not doing that.
Yeah, I think the way that I talk to people about that is, okay, how many people walk in your store every single day or your restaurant? Many of them won't be able to tell you that, right? Okay. What's the variation from January to July to December? How does that change? Well, I don't know. I mean, I just know that we do X number of revenue every single year. Okay. Well, what's the possibility that you can do? What's the number of customers that you had? What's the average order that you had? Like, do you understand any of these marketing metrics? And when you do understand those, can you improve on those? Because they become benchmarks for improvement. Well, I don't know. I don't know that. Okay, so you don't know marketing. But if you did understand marketing and you understand the metrics, you can compare things, right? So if you understand that you get an average of 50 people to walk in your door every single day, or there was a restaurant that I saw on social earlier that had 650 people that walked in every single day into their restaurant. Knew their numbers, right? Okay. Do you have the capacity to have 750 come in every single day? How fast can we turn them over? Do we have the space to put it in there, right? Like, understanding all of these marketing metrics will give you a baseline and say, okay, is there room for improvement? If there is, then we start testing marketing. And we've talked about this with you, that you think, or you were under the assumption before you started this podcast that marketing was mostly about advertising, right? Putting ads out there. But marketing is every single touch point, every single thing that you do with the community every single day. So if we understand our numbers and we understand our capacities and we understand that there's room for improvement, you won't understand that unless you're doing marketing. And then you can start to do one or two things that are out there to drive more traffic into your store, into your restaurant, to your phones, whatever it may be. And by doing that, it creates a much better environment for you. You're going to be much more profitable. So the people that say, I don't need to do marketing, I go, you're right, you don't. And you're going to maintain exactly what you're doing right now.
If you're lucky.
If you're lucky.
Gosh, by the way, have you seen all of the craft beer places that have closed?
Oh,
Another
yeah.
one closed yesterday right out by you. But anyways, go ahead.
Well, it's funny you talk about that, right? So I sat down with a buddy of mine probably 7 years ago, 6, 7 years ago, and he wanted to start a craft brewery, and we looked into it, and I looked at the numbers back then, and I said, nope, absolutely not. I see the trend, right? So again, if you don't understand marketing, you don't understand market research, you don't see the trends, you don't see what's happening, I was like, absolutely, I'm not putting money into this because I see it's going to peak.
Final myth: marketing should deliver instant results.
I hear this a lot where, well, if I'm going to give you $1,000, or better yet, I hear this a lot where somebody will say, well, I have $250 I want to spend. And they go out there and they spend it. Well, I didn't make any money off of that. Well, are we talking about awareness? Are we talking about conversion, right? Where are we at?
Remember the funnel.
Right? So awareness, consideration, and then customer, right? So if nobody knows who you are and you spend $250 on an ad to drive awareness takes a long time to create. That's why we talked about the $5 a day. Create awareness over time. If you're trying to convert somebody right now, that offer has got to be amazing, right? It's got to be so good that somebody's going to look at it and go, I'm stupid if I don't take this. But most people think if I spend $250, I should see $500 come back through the door. But again, it's understanding the funnel. Where am I on that funnel? Am I at awareness? Does 90% of the town that I live in know who I am? Great. If that's the case, then we're getting to consideration. We talk about perceptions, you versus others, right? What separates you from the other companies that are there? And then the customer side of it. So marketing takes some money, but there's a lot of things you could do in marketing that don't take money that will help generate that awareness as well.
He is Matt Hanson. This is the Mastering Local Marketing podcast, and we are at the end of our. Are we doing one next week?
Yeah,
yes, we are.
Course.
Yeah,
we
of
always
course we
do.
are. I'll tell you what. You think the guy is he's organized. He's just as disciplined as organized. I would just as soon lay on the couch and watch football bowl games, but I will be doing this podcast all the way through. So I won't do a big goodbye on this one or anything, but I can tell you this. Every time we do this podcast, there's this little nugget I get out of this, and it has completely changed my business doing these podcasts, and I hope it is changing yours listening to this podcast over and over. Thank you.
Thank you.
Until next time, we'll see you later.